I wanted to go over these symbols, the Aleph and the Tav. And when they're together, as this is the Aleph and that's the Tav, when they're together, they mean the strength of the covenant or strengthening of covenant. And in Revelations, Jesus says that he is the Aleph and the Tav. And so I want to read that. Then he cried, "It is finished. I am the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end. To him who thirsts, I will give the fountain of the water of life freely. He who overcomes shall inherit all things, and I will be his Elohim, and he shall be my son." So Messiah is saying that he is the covenant, and he is the strength of the covenant, based on the definition of what these symbols mean and what they mean when they are together. Messiah is the covenant in his flesh. Because I'm going to go over some of these scriptures where it says the lamb, all through Revelation, it talks about the lamb, the marriage supper of the lamb. The marriage of the lamb has come. The marriage supper of the lamb. And he is called the lamb. This is Revelations 19. The other ones were like 20 and 21. He is called the lamb because he was the lamb that was slain before the foundation of the world, right? Let me see if I can find that scripture. Well, I'll just go over this part where it says in Revelations 12:11, it says, "The saints overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony." What does that mean? That means covenant. They overcome in the end by covenant. The blood of the Lamb is the blood covenant mark, and the word of their testimony, and testimony is just covenant terms. The covenant terms were put in the Ark of the Covenant, or it's called the Ark of the Testimony, right? I'm going to go over these. Okay, this is the Aleph and the Tav in their semi-modern form. This is paleo forms. And what they mean, Aleph means the word, and Tav is a mark. In Egypt, the Passover lamb covenant was created. And it talks about in Exodus, where God says that he would come into covenant with them. He would be their God, and they would be his people. And that they were supposed to take a lamb on the 10th day of the first month. And on the 14th day, they were to kill it and put the blood of the lamb on the doorposts. He said, I will take you to me for a people. I will be to you a God. And this is Exodus 6. But in Revelations, we see the same thing where he is talking about being our God and us being his people. Revelations and Exodus are very similar. If I can find that one verse where it talks about, Okay, he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Yahweh himself will be with them and be their Elohim, their God. And this is in Revelations 21, verse 3. So it was mentioned in Exodus and it's mentioned in Revelation. Many things mentioned in Exodus are mentioned in Revelations because Exodus was our first Exodus and Revelation is our last, because we even see it here in Revelations 18 where it talks about, come out of her, my people, so that you are not partakers of her sin, that you do not partake in her plagues. There were plagues in Egypt, and there's going to be plagues in the end. Messiah renewed the Passover lamb covenant, and that's why he's called the Lamb in Revelations. That's why it's called the marriage supper of the Lamb. And that's how we overcome, by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony, which is, the testimony is covenant terms. By definition, a covenant or a testament is a contract between two parties. So that's a covenant or testament is a contract between two parties. So we overcome them by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony is because we are in covenant. And the covenant has two parts. That's why the strength of the covenant. It is covenant terms, contract terms, and it is a mark. It's the blood covenant mark. This was just supposed to be, quick go over the basics of it. I want to explain more on it later. In Exodus, where we read about the children of Israel coming into covenant with God with the Passover lamb covenant. He said, you'll be my people and I will be your God. And they agreed with all of that because they went through the steps of what God required of them. And the covenant is in two parts. It is the mark and it is the testimony. It is the covenant terms. And the children of Israel received the covenant terms when they came out of Egypt, and Moses met God on Mount Sinai. The 10 utterances of God were the covenant terms. And people can say or argue that we don't have to go by the 10 commandments, but God himself wanted those terms, those covenant terms, placed in his, where he came down and sat, the seat of mercy, the mercy seat. He set upon his covenant. And in the end, and in Revelations, it talks about the temple being seen in heaven, and that the Ark of the Covenant being seen, and that the Ark of the Covenant is opened in the end. And why is it open in the end? Because I believe that all those people throughout time that came into agreement with the Passover Lamb covenant, Messiah and his flesh, their names are written on on the covenant terms in that ark. Messiah, he is the Alef and the Tav. He says so. He is the covenant terms in his flesh, because he is the Word. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That's John 1:1. And he is the covenant mark in blood. And it says in Revelations that he was slain before the foundation of the world to make us, bring us back to the kingdom of priests and bride of what happened in the garden when Adam sinned. Adam was a king priest, and Messiah restored that. He brings us back to that. Anyway, I'm just going to end here.